Hi everyone, Chris here. Today I'm going to have a look at MetaHorizon's new generative AI features that they're putting into their editor for MetaHorizon Worlds. So they posted this just a couple days ago here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in their development environment. If you have a Meta account for like your Quest, you can actually install this editor for free. It's an app. And then it automatically comes with their new GenAI stuff here on the right. This is in beta, so it's early release, and we'll just keep that in mind when we're working with the tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through most of these features here and just give you an example of what it does. I'm going to pause the video if I think models are taking a long time or different generations are taking a long time, just to make the video shorter. So we're going to go through and generate a volcano first and see how their 3D model texture does. Actually, it's just right down here. You see here on the bottom it says, this is the model. It normally will hover and give you a 3D. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to do that. That's going to take a minute, so I'm going to pause the video while it's making some options. Okay, as it is almost done with its models, I thought I'd show you what the experience looks like here. You see it's just generating, I think, 4 different options, which is pretty common. Midjourney does that as well. And as you can see now, they're not popping in. They're just the meshes, so no UVs just yet. Alright, so while that's going in, I actually like this one. Unfortunately, it already has, looks like smoke clouds in there. I wasn't looking to see that. Maybe I'm going to go with this one down here. So I'm going to texture this model now. That's the next step. So hit that. But essentially, it's already sent the comment for me. It says, our prompt says generate a texture model for volcano mountain. So it's going to do that. I'm going to put us back on pause. Okay, almost done with this UV generation. I just wanted to let you see what that experience looks like when it is complete. It's going to give me some options as well, and I can choose from those as I recall. I did a practice video of this last night. I think that's right. All right, 99%. All right, spinner stopped, which means I think it's going to send us something. Okay, cool. So it just actually gave us one multiple options, which is fine. I'm going to save that model. It comes over here in my assets, as you can imagine, right here. And it should actually show me a little thumbnail here in a moment when it's ready. Perfect. So there's that, and there's the actual. Oh, that's the one I did last night. Okay, so you can see, which is actually was a really lovely rendering too, but my environment was all dirty, so I wanted to start from scratch today. So there's this one. We're going to continue with this one. And I believe I just kind of drag it in, or I double click it. They have a little bit of work on their UX. Let me see. There we go. Okay. It's just a little slow. Oh, and this, by the way, while we're waiting on this is just a world. So if you go back to their creation page, which I won't do now for the purposes of this demo, but it basically shows a list of your worlds, and you can just create a new world that's empty like this one. All right, cool. So now we got ourselves a nice little volcano. I'm not really going to scale it or anything at the moment. I'm just going to leave it where it's at. And to give you an idea, by default, you can set yourself into play. Okay, so it's floating. So I at least need to get it out of there. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to come over here to the properties window on the side and see if I can set this down to 0, maybe. Does that work? All right, let's see again how it looks. All right, so the model's a little small. I'll need to do some work to actually position it, which is fine. Let me get that thing and go to my keys, bring it up, scale it a little bit. Obviously, it's going to be a huge thing compared to my person. So then let's get back to, I didn't want to do that one. Just want to bring it up here. Ah, that's looking more like it should. And right there. And they need a little gizmo that I can use to move back and forth to the side views. That would be lovely. Okay, there we go. Not bad. So there's my little volcano. The textures, clearly it also textured the fog, the clouds at the top. So I might have run that 3D model a couple more times to get something a bit more satisfying. I'm not told that do not generate any clouds at the top. But for now, good enough for this demo. All right, let me jump in. I'm now going to get some terrain. So I'm going to come over to their little texture. Actually, I need to do another 3D model first. So rocky terrain from the dinosaur age with how about just dry dirt. All right, I'm gonna pause this one again. I also may just go ahead and do the texture and then put that in so that you can see what it looks like. But I'm gonna pause it for now. Okay, so I was gonna go ahead and just texture this offline, but you know, it's kind of weird. I'll admit, these don't really feel like they're flat textures, you know? This one may be, but I don't think those are. Those look more like they're mountainous and stuff as opposed to just a nice flat terrain. So there's a bit of a feedback here. I'm going to say you can tell them, you know, you can give them feedback. This is pretty common. Not accurate. I like their responses though. Not accurate. Let's see what this is. We're going to texture this guy, which, you know, there you go. So at least knows the one. I just don't know. Oh, here's another thing that, you know, I think would work for the meta team is that if I can see these little 3D meshes here and rotate them in the little window, or select on them and have it pop up in another window to rotate it, because as it is, I really can't tell the 3D nature of these all that well, just besides guessing. So that would be a workflow improvement. Hopefully we'll see that in the next release or whenever they get enough feedback from everybody. So I'm going to pause the video now and let this texture generation complete. Okay, I'm going to save this model out. It did a pretty decent job, it looks like, of making, you know, a UV that looks kind of dusty and that kind of thing. All right, save it on out. Okay, here it is. Pull it on out. All right, let's stretch it and see how big it is. Although I guess I probably could flatten it. It certainly looks like a mountain to me. Let's go with this one here. All right, well, for now, let's just see if I can squeeze it down and just get by with using it. But I was looking for a flat terrain. But good enough. Okay, so now we got ourselves a big terrain. I'm going to place it. That, and then stretch it out some more. Okay, cringe, but okay, fine. And then move it a little bit more to the middle. All right, there's our plane. I think I have a fog effect or something going on here. Which I don't think I turned that on, but maybe it's just in the ambience. Okay, next thing is I'm going to generate a skybox, which they have a particular option for that here. It's called sky. So go. All right, so this was kind of interesting. My first attempt before I stopped the video was this dinosaur skybox with dry terrain and a sunny sky. And you can see here from the preview, it's like a lake with a bunch of beautiful trees. Just no. So I set a thumbs down on that one. But also they had this little icon in here in the middle. I was wondering what it was. So when I regenerated it, I just said desert terrain, no water. And the height, they need a, you know, a little pop-up that says what the icon is. But I clicked it down here just for kicks. And what it did was it immediately put it into my scene. So this is actually the skybox here. Not bad. I mean, it's not seamless. Okay, it's also not quite saying the same color as the terrain that it generated, but I wouldn't expect it to be that savvy this early in their, you know, development cycle. But hey, good enough for me for now. I'm going to save and apply it. I like that little preview feature. That's cool. They need to have a little explainer as to what that is. And what I don't know is whether or not I had the opportunity and just didn't see them here. It might be that once I've saved it, this little icon is going to turn into a checkbox, which that's kind of a neat little flow, if that's true. It does take a while to save this stuff. I guess it's just either my internet connection is slow. I don't know. Hey, look at there. It did. So it went from a sleepy eye to an open eye for preview and then a checkbox when it's applied. That's pretty good. They just need to have some words on there. Okay, and now I'm going to try making some ambient sound because that's one of their features. I'm not going to do a sound effect for this video. But let's see here, sound effects and ambient audio. So 30 seconds is fine. Generate that. All right, so the audio is back. It took a little bit. I'm going to play it. It looks like at least OBS, the video recording software, is hearing it, so maybe I just can't hear on my computer. Anyway, I'm going to accept that one. I'm going to save it. Okay, cool. So it's sitting right here now. And I expect in order to trigger that, I'll have to attach it to something, which I won't do during this video. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to create a script. And I'll have to add a particle object to do this, but I want to have some smoke coming out of the volcano. So I'm going to the script button here. I do like these little buttons. These are kind of cool. And generate that. Okay, and then while we're generating that, I'm going to... Okay, it's actually generating pretty quick. I forgot the scripts go pretty quick. So, last night when I was doing this, honestly, I wasn't overly impressed with the script generation. I do hear that Llama 4 is good at coding, by the way. Llama 4 came out in the last couple of weeks, I want to say. But this editor is not set up for successfully coding. So you'd still have to work in Visual Studio, which is okay. And I still recommend that you work with Klein, maybe with Claude, or Copilot. But I'll show you what's happening. So it's compiling. I got one here, volcano smoke. It looks like it. Okay, so I'm going to put the particle gizmo in. But then it does another one on how you customize it. Okay, I'm just going to get this one. I do like this feature. This is slick. You can either copy it or you can just create a new script. And it's going to pop open VS Code and put it right in the project directory. So that was pretty slick. So I like that. And the volcano smoke is here. There that script is. Last time it went right to it. I'm not sure what this one's about. Why there's this open weird one. Don't save that one. Here it is here. Okay, so let me pause it. I'm going to add a particle system up here in the particles build. What do I do that at? I'm trying to remember. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so you go build, gizmos, particle, effect. There it is right there. Double click on that. And it should add one for me. Oh, I think I have to drag it. There's a UX issue, in my opinion. So bang, or bang, one of the two. Okay, there you go. I really don't like drag and drop a whole lot. I find it cumbersome. I'm not sure why I know why they do it. It's for newbies, but I'd rather just double click or something. Anyhow, I'm going to take a moment and position this in the middle of the volcano. Okay, so the particle effect box is sitting right there. The widget gizmo is sitting right there. It's over here. On the right hand side, you attach the script. There it is. There's the volcano smoke script. All right, that should be it. Now, when I did this last night, it didn't do infinite smoke. It just sort of puffed out. There's my little guy. I'm going to hit play and quickly look up to see what we can see on the particle effects. If it wrote a good script, it should just work. We'll see. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so let's take this. Maybe it's because I'm blocked. Can't see anything. Let's rotate this around so the clouds are not showing. This is the particle box. Bring it up some. All right, let's try again. Let's see. Okay, it did the same thing. There's a little bit of puff of smoke, but then it doesn't do anything after that. I don't know if I can actually just make myself float. Maybe I can. That would be really cool. It might just pull me back down because there's gravity going on. Okay, so he falls. All right, so anyway, we see that there's a little bit of smoke going on, but it's just not infinite. And I'm not really familiar with, scripting in Meta's world. But that at least gives you a sense of, what this pre-release looks like. It's early days. It's not bad. And I expect if I really knew how to prompt their model to get the textures more consistent, I could potentially make the volcano and the texture match the sand colors and all that kind of stuff. But there's a preview. Well, good luck to the Meta team. I think they're off on a good foot here. I would like to see a bit more integration with code and code diffs. If I made changes, it won't do a diff, which is usually what you get to see in code editors. They may not be going for full code editing mode, so take that with a grain of salt. But if you're asking for changes, it gets a little weird just to see more and more copies and pastes here. It's kind of like what you do with ChatGPT or Claude if you're on their web interfaces. It's not a great experience. The better way to go is to actually integrate Klein like this here, and you can choose which model you want to talk to and use their API key, which I've talked about in other videos. But that's a much more iterative experience with coding. But what they've done with Texture Gen and Model Gen, this is a pretty decent start out with an interface. And I think I just like a few little extra tweaks to make it better. And also, I probably need to spend some time personally on their website reading how to get really effective prompts and that kind of stuff if they have those available. Thanks for watching.